Violence erupting outside the Turning Point USA event at UC Berkeley last night. Fists began to fly just hours before the event began, leading to 4 arrests. But inside that event, comedian Rob Schneider and Dr. Frank Turek, who is Charlie Kirk's mentor, spoke to a sold-out crowd.
Once kids are being caught on the street doing these illegal activities, and even if they're 18, 19, 20, if they're in college, I believe parents should still be held responsible for some of their actions, because they weren't taught right to be in the world and be causing chaos when not understanding what peacefully protesting actually means.
I'm never going to forget Charlie's lifeless eyes looking back right past me in that car. It's a life-changing event. Do you know what else would be a life-changing event? A man that predicted and accomplished his own resurrection from the dead.
Charlie's murder exposed a part of an ugliness that I have not seen. That there can be no compassion, that there would be no empathy from these group of people, says something about more than our body politic.
The vice president of UC Berkeley's Turning Point USA chapter, Maddox Radaba, joins me now. Maddox, thank you for joining us. A whole lot happened at UC Berkeley last night. What do you know about these protests that led to several arrests?
Yeah, so what I know, there was a big line. So it was completely packed. It was an amazing event. Full. The hall was completely full. And so as a result, you have, all of these people coming to support the event, and they're met with, as you can see in the footage here, protesters. And I feel like that just naturally, increased the hostilities. And what I heard about the event is that the people involved weren't students exactly. And that's kind of what we see a lot at these events, is we see, Berkeley natives or people who are trying to rile things up come on campus and look to do so. That's as much as I know about the information so far, but I know that the local enforcement is looking into the fights that we see here.
Okay, so one more about these.
Damn, this cop is using a bicycle to basically use it as a shield to push people away. Damn, this is crazy. Let's check that again real quick. What? And then these idiots, the media taking pictures, man, you were out there and officers are telling you to back up and you don't listen, just like every other law enforcement agency in this entire country. You're going to find out. You don't want to listen and comply. It's like, okay, well, there's consequences to that in this country.
That we see here.
Okay, so one more about these protests before we get into the actual event. We're hearing that these protesters surrounded the exits and started heckling all the attendees and shouting obscenities at them. Did you experience that? And also, what would you like to say to these protesters this morning?
They're not protesters.
Sure. Now, I will say that I didn't see hear any obscenities myself, but I heard about it secondhand from other people experiencing them. And what I would like to say to those protesters is that we would welcome you to come to our meetings. We would welcome you to talk to us while we're tabling on campus. We welcome you to debate us. You don't need to fight us. You don't need to yell obscenities at us. We are willing to have this exchange of ideas with you. And it seems, from the extreme cases, not that people are just willing to debate, but from, the things you see here, that they're just not willing to do so, and so they resort to violence, and that's something that we condemn.
Well, this was the last.
See, and that's fine. We should be putting it out there so many times, every single day. Hey, people that are radical, we want you to come, sit down, have a conversation with us. You out there holding signs, talking about your protesting when you're actually inciting violence or doing something to push violence to move forward, is not bringing people together, and it's gonna be bad if you want violence to erupt in this country where everyone gets involved. We don't want that. We need good, level-headed people like this gentleman here saying, "Hey, we want you to come to our events, but we want you to ask questions. We want you to participate." in effective dialogue here.
Stop of this Turning Point tour took place 2 months to the day after Charlie Kirk's assassination. Featured two speakers that were very close to his heart, including his mentor, Frank Turek, and comedian and filmmaker Rob Schneider. What would you like people to know about the actual event and how it went?
Yeah, the event was amazing. It was a huge show of support, and I got to give it to Frank and Rob for just stepping up, because Charlie was supposed to come today, and on short notice for them being willing to, go into hostile territory and, a campus that's about 95% liberal and willing to, speak their mind, as well as everyone who had the confidence to come out in attendance. I commend them. And I also commend the people who, were maybe liberal minded, but came out in the Q&A and respectfully, challenged them on a, idea-based, exchange of ideas. And so that was amazing to see that just show. Yeah. But at this event, we saw something completely different, and it really instills hope. And it shows how, after Charlie's passing, it was a terrible tragedy, but it also, instilled a level of motivation in all of us to step forward and carry on his legacy.
And that's exactly what you're doing. And I just want to read this quickly because it's from UC Berkeley. A spokesperson told Fox News Digital that the altercations did not take place on campus grounds, but did not elaborate any further. But we thank you so much for joining us, characterizing this last stop of this very important tour, and for having a big handle in putting this together and waking up early for us as well out there in California. Maddox Radabov, Vice President of UC Berkeley's Turning Point USA chapter, we thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I actually took a summer course at UC Berkeley years ago, and I'm glad it was only a summer course, because being around that college campus, I mean, it is 90-something% liberals on that college campus, and it's all because of the teachers, the staff. They're ingraining these students to think a certain way when they're not getting the full truth of so many things that happen in this entire country. That being said, if any of you parents out there have kids that are out there causing chaos and are not actually peacefully protesting, and you find out they have their face covered, they're vandalizing, they're burning American flags, they're burning vehicles, they're crashing into police vehicles. I mean, if they're doing anything that steps out of line and is illegal in this country, you should be whooping your kids. I don't condone child abuse, but I do condone parents that realign their kids' sense of moral and value that's supposed to be aligning with goodness in this country. If you're a parent that doesn't give a damn what your kid's doing, I think once kids are being caught on the street doing these illegal activities, and even if they're 18, 19, 20, if they're in college, I believe parents should still be held responsible for some of their actions, because they weren't taught right to be in the world and be causing chaos when not understanding what peacefully protesting actually means. What real people have used in the past to peacefully protest, to pass certain things, to get what they deserve. Now you have a lot of spoiled ass kids in 2025. Parents want to be that helicopter parent. They don't want to be that bad guy because, they got treated like crap, or they were treated with aggression during their upbringing, and they don't want to pass it on to their children. You don't have to pass that on to your children. That doesn't mean you have to let go of the pedal and then slow down. No. You still got to put your kids in check the entire time you're alive. And I'm not saying to butt into their life 24/7, but, if there's little things here and there that you're like, wait a minute, who taught you this? Because I didn't teach you this in your upbringing. People need to have more respect for themselves, and parents need to be teaching their damn kids to be more respectful out here in the world. If you want your point across, it's not burning down and holding signs, making false statements to make people watching this on TV believe everything. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. Like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Till next time, peace out, everybody. This one's for Charlie.